It's your boy JS1 the Supplier. It is VVC Life, Aries Lounge podcast. We are back with another phenomenal moment in time. I am blessed and honored to once again bring you another Baltimore legend. Another cog or piece of our hip-hop community, and just somebody that I feel like I'm going to be able to get mad, inappropriate, fucked up jokes off with. So we're starting today with my special guest. Yo, and I said this off air, and I'm going to say it on air. Mad inappropriate at this point, and I could get canceled, and I'm taking the risk. He may be the only white rapper or first white rapper I've ever interviewed. So this is going to go way... This is going to go good. I think this is going to be great. MC Bravado is in the building.
Yo, thank you so much for having me, bro. I'm happy to be here.
Yo, I just like to say off top, watching you do your podcast was dope. First of all, most people I don't like doing podcasts. No. Most people I hate do podcasts because they don't even know how to have a good conversation. Number one. Number two, they have no purpose. So they just be running on, they be just running. Oh, whatever happened with Drake and fucking, what? No, I don't give a fuck. Shut up. Like, don't even pop. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then third of all, people don't have quality. When I saw those cameras that were way more expensive than mine, I was like, oh yeah, this motherfucker got some bread. Okay, yeah, we doing this. We turned up. He had a photographer in the background. He had an engineer. Oh, they was chopping up clips. And let me tell you, this is a little nuance for all of you corny niggas at home. It's like when your editor is editing, like right after the pod is over, oh, you know you want some serious shit. The dude is working right after y'all had finished and he's already editing. I said, yeah, these niggas are serious.
Bro, I appreciate that. And you gave me some like really good advice too, because I'm just starting. I think you saw episode 4 or something.
Gosh.
So it's like I have a lot to learn, but I like being good at what I do. So I welcome those critiques.
Word.
And I definitely thought about what you said, and I'm, gonna work on applying it too.
Oh man, I'm on it, bro. Like,
sure.
Hey man, you way more lit than I am. You know what I'm saying? But I can't help it. You know what I mean? And I was trying to keep my mouth shut. I was like, man, you a guest in somebody else's home. Don't be coming there telling them what to do or whatever. But I'd be like, man, sometimes I feel like if I don't say something, I feel like I'm doing you a disservice. You know what I mean? And I'm just mostly worried that people will be offended versus feeling like, yo, here, I'm just giving some information. Like, yo, this could help.
I think I was a teacher, I'm sure we're going to get into that, but like, I think anybody who's a good educator stays a lifelong learner and is just receptive to these things because it's kind of the only way you can grow. And I have like failed so many times that I'm kind of numb to it. So I don't look at it as a negative. I look at it as an opportunity. And I think if you flip that switch, that's where you can kind of elevate. Not just art-wise, but life-wise. Like, if you start to take it... Obviously, if somebody's being, like, talking out of the side of their mouth and being disrespectful, that's different.
Facts.
But if somebody's offering you, like, an honest, well, what if you try this, where I think this could be better, like, that's for your benefit.
Right.
So, I don't know.
I feel like I've always been a collaborator. That's the thing I love about creativity is the ability to get with somebody and y'all bounce ideas off of each other.
Yeah.
Like I can always come up with some stuff on my own and just do something. But to me, I'm always better when I work with somebody. You know what I'm saying? Even if I'm sure about what I'm doing, I'm still going to be like, yo, what you think? Like, because that person, there's so many times where I thought I had it all figured out. And then somebody will just be like, yo, what about this? And I'll be like, that is so much better than what I thought. God damn. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just used to, yo, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. All right, let's bring it all together. And then just creating this kind of like gumbo of what I feel like might be good or usable or plausible or whatever. But bump all of that. We got to go back. I need to know, where are you born? Are you born in Baltimore or are you...
No.
Okay.
I'm from New York originally.
Really?
Yeah. I was born in White Plains, which is Westchester. So you have New York City, and Westchester is right next to New York City. My family is from the Bronx.
Okay.
And Yonkers. And I grew up in White Plains. I spent a lot of time in the city. Born in White Plains, grew up in Orange County, which is like a little further up. And I taught English on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and the music scene was just like non-existent for hip-hop. So a few friends were moving to Baltimore. I moved to Baltimore without a job. I was on summer pay. I was like, okay, I got 90 days to find a teaching job, and then I found one in August. And I've been here since. I moved here 2012. So
yeah,
I'm a transplant, but 12 years or so in.
You kind of official. That's all good.
I don't like. It's such a. This feels like home more than New York at this point. Mm-hmm. Obviously, family, friends, history in New York is always there. I kind of rep both places as best I can, you know? But I always say, like, Baltimore by way of New York, essentially, because this is home at this point.
Word.
Yeah.
Baltimore is very accepting of outsiders as long as you are respectful of its culture. And I feel like a lot of people will come and trample on Baltimore and say nothing but just talk down to Baltimoreans. And New Yorkers have a tendency to do that everywhere they go. So it's like, I always find it super cool when you find a New Yorker that's not every other sentence is, man, this ain't New York. You know, New York is.
Yeah. That part, because then it's like, why don't you live there then? You know?
I've asked that question quite a few times.
I live in Baltimore because it just became home. It feels like home. I fell in love with the city. I fell in love when I was teaching, like, with the youth of our city. And then beyond that, like, when I started going out to, like, beat club events and things like that, like, I fell in love with the hip-hop scene. So it's just, I don't know, bro. And, like, when I visit New York, I love being up there for a couple days. But after a couple days, I've had my fill.
Right.
You know, it's like I'll do business there. We shoot, you know, less than 4 hours up the road. Make a weekend, couple days out of it, come back, and I'm very happy when I get home.
Okay.
You know.
So you were talking about Beat Club. Now, once you got your job and you got settled in Baltimore, well, let's start before that. Before we even get to that.
Yeah.
You know, you're born and raised in Westchester, New York.
Right.
What is the hip-hop scene like there? Was there a hip-hop scene, or were you just experiencing hip-hop from a distance, meaning like the music and all of that?
So my parents were divorced when I was, like, super young. So, like, it was, like, born in Westchester, family in Westchester in New York City, dad in Rockland, which is next to Westchester, mom in Orange. So I was always kind of a nomadic kind of situation with bouncing around. So I never... The scene I got closest to was Orange County, New York hip-hop scene, which the only... and I'm going to guess you know who this guy is. Like, I'm just off rip going to guess. But the biggest artist from Orange County as a rapper, Orange County, New York, because everybody thinks of Cali, was Cage. Def Jux.
Wow.
Yeah. Def Jux.
Yo, I haven't heard that name in years.
Yeah, bro.
And Def Jux. I haven't heard Def Jux. Shout out to my guy, Matt. Yo, Matt introduced me to all of that, to the Def Jux. It's like this, I say it's like a in-between underground type of scene.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, LP before he, you know, took it to another level with, like, RTJ, like, you know, Def Jux, Ace Rock did stuff with Def Jux, like they, Mr. Lift, like that kind of stuff was part of what I listened to that made me like, okay, there are levels and alternative pockets with this.
Right.
But the Orange County hip hop scene, there was a group called the Cypher Junkies that I was a part of, that people always kind of said was like, because we were a bunch of white dudes, but we all had very like distinct styles, and we really sharpened each other, and we freestyled constantly. And I always said we were early, because if we were around for like streaming and like all that, it was a constant fucking party and entertainment with us. We actually used to have 3 sets to our shows. Like the bar would hire us and we would play all night. We'd play 3 sets. The first set was like brand new material, because we were the least fucked up during that set.
Smart.
The second set was like stuff we had done for a while that people knew pretty well, like kind of like the classics, if you will. And then the third set was like freestyles, old stuff, but we were like usually borderline blacked out by that point. And we definitely had bars tell us like, okay, we'll pay you and we'll feed you, but the open bar shit is over because y'all like ran up a tab that was like
insane.
You're talking 5 dudes who drink an absurd amount. They were like, this is just too much. But all those dudes could like really rhyme. And with the proximity to the city, there were more dope MCs than you would expect. Like, if you look at the place, it looks a little, you drive through that town, it looks a little Hallmark.
Right.
But there are a lot of dudes with the New York City roots.
Right.
And just that affinity and respect for the culture that there's more than you would expect there. But yeah,
Word.
so.
See, I'm hearing what you're saying, and this is bringing us a deep conversation. Does location justify your entry into music? So, like, do you have to be from New York to be an MC? Do I have to be from DC to be a part of the DMV? All right, that's another thing for another day. But I've experienced on so many different ways because I've traveled all over the United States. Never been out of the country, but I've been almost everywhere in the United States. There's always a music scene.
Yeah.
There's always some people that love hip hop. And then it's like whomever the city leans most towards, like if it's like a boom bap city like that loves Wu and Nas and stuff like that, all of the styles kind of like spawn off of that.
Right.
But if it's a southern city that loves Cash Money or something, all of the sound is going to kind of have like that. You know what I mean? So it's just like hearing your story and you're like, yo, I'm coming from this city and this is the style of music that we just enjoy. I'm just thinking, bro, like I feel like we beef about that so much. And that's only because New York, once again, is trying to set its dominance. Where, we are, the 5 boroughs, because you're still New York. You're just not in the 5 boroughs.
Right.
So it's like, if you're not a part of the 5 boroughs, your shit is whack.
The hilarious thing about that is people from the city will say, oh, you're from upstate. And it's like, bro, geographically, no, I'm not. I'm from like the southern point of the state. Y'all just say everything that's not New York City is upstate. Is upstate. And I still love New York, like one of the greatest cities in the world for sure. But yeah, that I know what you mean with that attitude. But growing up there, we did have Hot 97 on the radio. Right. So people were like, when I first heard Cage, it was off a Stretch and Bobbito like rip. Right. Like that type of shit. Same with like early MF Doom. Right. Like I was just like, what is this? Right. And I was kind of there for all of that. Right. At least as a listener. And I think that informed me stylistically in different ways. I think the best MCs, like, if I could listen, there are people who are really dope, right, at the technical aspect of rapping. But I could listen to them and I could trace their style to like 2 people, 3 people. If I can do that, I'm knocking them down a few notches because I'm like, to me, the style is kind of up here because if your style is not your own,
But we all are children from a tree. So
I agree.
As much as you could be like, I'm like nobody. Everybody got a little of something.
100%. But I'm saying you should differentiate that portfolio to the point that your influences are like numerous. You're taking a little from this person, from that person. You might hear it in a phrase or in a song concept, but it's not derivative to the point that every time you hear dude spits, he sounds like so-and-so. Makes sense. To me, that's too much. Like, you have to mature at some point.
That's the Action Bronson Ghostface argument.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is like, I get it, I hear, but Action Bronson is his own thing. Like,
he's fire. He's still fire.
Yeah, I mean, he does sound like that nigga. Like, they do have a shitload of similarities. But I don't want to get lost in the point I wanted to make. I'll give you a perfect example of kind of connecting back to the last statement I was making is Griselda. They're going to, I'm watching videos. All of this, obviously, I'm not a New Yorker. I'm not up there that much. I watch all hip-hop content. They'll go in to do an interview, and they always have to say, well, I mean, we New York, and they'll be like, but you ain't New York. And I'll be like, nigga, they dope. Why does this?
They dealt with that.
Why does this conversation need to keep happening? Yeah, I mean, but y'all not really New York, though. Yep. Yo, shut the fuck up. These niggas is fire. Why does dope dudes, no matter where they come from, have to now cow tip to some, but this ain't this and that ain't that? And it's just like, but I just don't get that. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, because like if I'm from Baltimore and I go up to New York to do an interview and kick some freestyles, and it's gonna be like, I mean, I would let you freestyle, but I don't know, you from Baltimore. Like, bitch, what the fuck? Hip hop is hip hop. Rap is rap. Like, at what point do we? And this is not a question for you to answer. Obviously, you don't have all of the answers. But to me, I find it very irritating is that we have to prerequisite hip hop discussions with location or certain things. At this point, it should be if you're dope, yo, come in and show us what you got.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to beef with Picasso because he might be from wherever the fuck he's from. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he would be that nigga, but you know what I'm saying? He was in some French bistro down in the 300 years ago. He'd be like, what? Nah. So like, anyway, back onto the point, because I definitely want to key into this. Your first, when you were a kid, first introduction into hip hop is what? Can you tell me, like, first hip hop song? Was it a record? Was it radio? Was it?
Yeah, bro. It was so it was the Fugees.
Bullshit. First album, second album.
The Score for second album. So yeah, it was honestly Killing Me Softly, which is like not. I mean,
it's not
it's
rap.
hip hop, but it's
Yeah.
you know, as far as the drums and all that. But like, I remember hearing that and I was like, ooh. You know, and then I dove deeper into that album, and then I went back to Translator Crew, the first album, Mona Lisa and all that, and yeah, and that shit, like, obviously as a kid, because they make stuff that's, you know, politically charged, and like, I didn't understand it, but I felt something. So it was just that visceral switch, like, I didn't know what I was rapping, I didn't understand it, and listening back to it, I'm like, it just lit something inside of me, and I just from there I was hooked. But it was the Fugees for sure, and they're like a tragedy to me because I could only imagine if they had made 4 or 5 albums, you know, kind of stuck together, what that would have looked and sounded like.
I have all these years I've never thought about that.
Yeah,
but now you've got that little plant stuck in my head.
They'd have been high on those lists, bro.
And would they be? I don't know. It's like the same thing when people say, yo, if Lauryn Hill had made some more albums. And I'm like, she caught lightning in a bottle twice. Like, you got 2 diamond records back to back. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Could she do the 3rd diamond record? And let's get off of sales. Would it be as impactful? I don't even know. Because it's like, how do you transcend perfection twice?
I know. I mean, because she did... In Miseducation, she did a record that is even more universally praised than The Score was, which people wouldn't have expected, as talented as she is.
Correct,
right?
correct.
So I hear what you're saying, and I'm not saying like every up to bat would have been on par with that, but I think that it had a lot of quality there.
Right.
I just love the mixture of the group because you had Clef, who was doing what he was doing as a producer, kind of this mad scientist. You had her, who was like the superstar, you know, as an MC and as a singer. Nobody has walked both of those lines better, in my opinion.
Agreed.
And then you had Praz, who like kind of could be the glue guy, like knew how to serve the record. He's Ringo, you know, but like played his role to perfection. And, you know, because if it were somebody else that was as live as the other two, it might be too much.
Word.
So I don't know. I just love the chemistry. But
so as you're growing and becoming a hip hop fan, one of my best friends in the whole world, he is I call him a hip hop curmudgeon. Okay. He is such if it isn't this, it's not hip hop. Like, it's whack. So were you becoming more of like an astute student of hip hop so much to where it's like LL Cool J ain't hip hop. This is commercial. He's doing all these pop records. He's, you know, head sprung. Get that out of here. I mean, would you find yourself in that club, or were you kind of embracing everything and going, wow, this is how things are spreading out and things are becoming creative. I'm loving it all.
For someone like him who paved the way, I would never be in a position to tell him what is and what isn't, in my opinion. Because he just gave the foundation too much. But in a more contemporary sense, I do think that, and this isn't like old man yelling at the sky shit, but like I do think that the current generation, probably more than any before it, has a general, not all of them, there are plenty that are tapped in, but there's a larger percentage of those who don't know anything about what came before and don't like, are kind of like shameless about it.
Right.
Like they don't care. They don't think it's necessary. And I think, you know, instant gratification that comes with the phone and the ability to just, because if you wanted to make music, like when I started making music, I had to invest in a 12 track. I had to find a place to put that. I had to like do all of these things, whereas now it's like the phone, the program, you could rip the YouTube video, and like good for you, like because it's created some opportunities for people that otherwise wouldn't have had them and made some amazing musicians, but it's also created a sense of entitlement that wasn't there previously, and that's the part that I have some mixed feelings about. Yeah.
I like that. I like the way you worded that. All right, so you got Fuji's album. It opens up your mind. Boom, explosion, inspiration is happening. So, all right. So is that the first album you bought with your own money, or is that the first album you just heard?
I believe that that's the first one that I bought as well.
God bless you.
One of the first ones. I know I had like an early. I think It Was Written was early for me too. And then I was listening to other shit too. Like I was listening to like Green Day, like Dookie, and like alternative rock too. I know like my pops, like he grew up in the 60s, so like that was his golden era for music. For me, like it's not just 90s hip hop, it's 90s R&B, 90s alternative rock. Like even the electronic stuff that was like that was such a great decade for stuff that was just new.
Oh no, it was just we have the transition from the studio needing a whole band to one or two people being able to program or bringing in pieces one at a time and creating these dynamic sounds. So pop expanded, with also pop becoming, it's seeping into rock. Pop is seeping into hip hop. It's seeping into R&B. It's seeping into folk music. So there's an explosion of popular music that blends from every genre from the 80s on forward, which allowed the opportunity for like so much sonically to happen, but also for fans to just kind of blend. You end up bumping into people that, they were rock fans, but then they ended up, you love some pop shit, they love some pop shit, and now y'all are connecting more than you would ever because it was so segregated before. Whatever your rock people are going to be rock people. They're going to dress, they're going to hang out this spot. They're not going to the hip hop club. The hip hop people aren't going to this. You know what I mean? The gays are going to go to the spots they're going to go to. But I feel like people don't respect how pop music has brought people together.
For sure. So
when you start having those crossover artists, it becomes a space where the rock guy is jumping around and they bump into the hip hop guy, and it's like, fuck it, we all love the same shit. You know what I'm saying? Because the genres are all start to blend together, as we see now in 2024, where it's like it's such a blurry line between genres because there's so much that's blend together. But anyway, I'm here to talk about you. You gonna have me talking hip hop and crazy music shit all day long.
We can't. The last thing I want to add. The last thing I want to add that I've noticed is like, if you were hearing like those bad boy records in that era in the club, you're also like, these are records for the club, but also with rappers who could like really rap.
Correct.
And like today, more often than not, the records for the club, like that's not the case. I mean, Drake is like, an exception, obviously a polarizing, figure, but like, I'm not going to sit here and say he can't rhyme, because he can, but like a lot of those dudes really can't. So that was something else I thought that was kind of cool about that era, was that those records were still of a high quality of like musicianship at the same time. So
hip hop is in its anti or punk rock era,
right?
Where it is raging against the machine,
right?
The new young kids are going, fuck everything. I just want to do what I want to do. I want to get high. I want to get drunk. Shit, I'll die off of drugs if I have to. Fuck it. I want to push everything to the limit. It's going against everything because that's where the kids are. The kids are tired of being clean, trying to be the biggest, they're just like, fuck everything.
Now, do you think part of that is I agree that that's the aesthetic, but do you think part of the reason of that being the aesthetic is that they can't rap?
No, to be honest with you,
put the work in to rap?
Yes, and I think that's because of anxiety. It's not that they don't want to put the work in the rap, it's just that it's my anxiety is going to go crazy if I have another person telling me I'm whack. I can't deal with that, so I'll record by myself. I don't want to deal with the judgment of all of these people, so I won't do the concert. I'm not going to do the interview because I don't want to have to talk about things that I'm not comfortable talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to allow somebody, and if you can understand, because you're in the industry, these kids don't even want to be managed. They don't want to be coached because they can't take somebody telling them you're not good, or hey, you need to improve, or you need to be like this. And they go, well, why do I need to be like that? Because if you want to appeal to a larger market, then it becomes, well, fuck that. I don't need that. Look at all these people that make a living just being in their niche.
Yeah.
Let me just be niche. And I feel like that mindset extends to even the bigger artists, to where they're starting to rebel against doing the basic things that will make you crazy. Yo, we're gonna send you on to, this morning show, and you got to sit down on The View. Man, I ain't doing that shit. And you can't make them. I mean, you could, but then it'll be abuse. They be then caught you on camera busting this nigga up, and then they carting you off to jail. But you know what I'm saying? They have so much more control now. But in having all the control, now they can say no when fear starts to take over, and they can pull back, and then they can find a million ways to justify it. So now it's funny that you were talking about Bad Boy. Puff was all about breaking the boundaries. Hey, bro, the only way I'm going to sell 10, 20 million, and the only way I'm going to be the biggest artist in the world, we got to wear these suits. I don't care what you got to say. Put these suits on, get these explosions, get these girls. Yo, let's get this private jet. Let's do this. We're going to jump out of a plane. It's like, yo, we have to capture the world's attention. We have to bring hip hop to another level, because by bringing hip hop to another level, I get to dominate. I get to sell more records. I get to get more money. I get more power, more control. Now I can beat Cassie. Okay, we ain't got to go that route. So with that being said, there is nobody doing that nowadays. Imagine Yo Gotti going and telling Glorilla and Moneybagg, yo, put the suits on, nigga. We're gonna be the biggest, and yo, we're gonna do a song with Britney Spears and this and that. They would Gorilla and them be like, oh hell nah. Right. I'm out of here. Like, no, I'm not with none of this, because I have my own social media. I could fight you, leave, and still do what I want to do. So guess what? Now Yo Gotti is just like, I'm gonna sign y'all. I'm gonna let you do whatever you want, and I'll come in and I'll subtly go, hey, do you mind trying to, let's do kind of da-da-da-da. You kind of had on these niggas with kid gloves, whereas back in the day, you would just tell them, nigga, get the fuck up, or I'll find somebody else to replace you. And I hate that I just said it like that, but...
No, you're right. I mean, social media and people having their own platform definitely changed everything.
The democratization of the industry made it not impossible, but it makes it substantially harder to create megastars. But what people, as much as we hate the system that creates these megastars, and even to a certain point, people hate megastars, but Drake is important. Drake is money, market share. Drake is mass attention. Drake is pushing the genre forward.
Right.
If he's not there to push the genre forward, then people stop investing. So when people stop investing, the small guys become smaller, and the industry goes out. But we're here to talk about you. I'm sorry.
You're good, bro.
We can sit here and talk hip hop all day.
I enjoy like all of this.
So my next question is going to be:
Sure.
The first time you wrote a rhyme and what inspired it? I don't need the lyrics,
bro. It was they were terrible, but my buddy Marksman, who has been my producer for more joints than anybody. We've been friends since 5th grade, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I got him listening to hip hop, and he started writing rhymes first. And I was kind of like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. I got him into this. And then he kind of segued into being more of a producer. He's still like a mean MC, but he doesn't. He'll like kick, if you do a project with him, he might have like 2, 3 16s on the whole thing, but he's making all the beats. But like, yeah, more or less hearing him do it just made it this thing that seemed real, because prior it was just the superheroes doing it. So then seeing somebody close to me that I knew was a mortal like me, yeah, it just inspired me to try to do it. And I loved basketball as a kid, but got to a point where I realized that wasn't going to be it, and I needed another outlet and something that I could hold on to hope like could be my ticket type deal. So it evolved from there, because I always had a small piece of me that thought I could make a life out of it. And that just grew as I progressed and became more serious. But I don't know. I needed that piece of hope, you know, to want to continue to do it. But yeah, Marksman was the beginning for me, and then the rest of the crew, and I was battling at an early age and all that kind of thing. Before I was even writing rhymes, I was like writing rhymes seriously. I was battling, and then I got good at that, and people encouraged me to do more songs, and it kind of evolved from there. But that was beat battles. That was like not beat battles, but battles over beats, and showing up, and there's fucking 16 people in the bracket, and you don't know who you're going against, and it was a different era.
I want to do one of those. I really want to do one of those so bad.
Quick sidebar.
Go ahead.
Not gonna lie to you, I have to pee terribly because of this.
No problem.
I can cork it if I have
No
to.
problem. Hit the pause button, my guy. We'll be right back. Y'all keep it locked.
Brought to you by our Patreon members. Sign up right now, patreon.com/VVC Life. And thank you to all of the patrons that have already signed up and are supporting us right now.
All right. The next question. How did the name MC Bravado come from? How did that come about?
So, I mean, bravado is kind of like something you're projecting as far as like your confidence that's not necessarily all the way real. And I was starting off as this kind of gangly kid with braces, you know, and it was my armor basically was that. That was my ticket to being maybe a little bit more popular, maybe all of those things, and it kind of quieted some of my insecurities in a public space. Even to this day, people, when they see me live, you know, whether I'm playing with the band or just me and a DJ or whatever, if you come to one of my shows, I'm active. Like, I'm everywhere on the stage, like moving the whole time. And that's from anxiety. People think it's this, like, I mean, I'm humbled because people are always like, you're a really good performer. Like, you're all over the stage, you're moving, if I was standing still, I might be shaking. You know what I mean? So it's like, I wear that shit on my sleeve, but like that, part of me will always be that kid. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what, that kid will still be part of who I am, and the name will stick as a result of that. Yeah.
So, you named yourself what year? What year was it that you took on the moniker of MC Bravado?
It's probably been 20 years, bro.
20 years?
Yeah, probably 2003, 2002.
Okay.
Over 20 years.
I have to make an admission, okay?
Sure.
My mentor is somebody you're very familiar with.
I've heard.
The first time I heard your name, I said, what the fuck is a MC Bravado?
That's okay. Yeah.
I know. The first thing I said is, what are you going to tell this motherfucker to drop MC off of the Bravado?
That was the conversation, too.
And I was just like, this doesn't work in 2024, 2023. I don't know. I think it was 23, 22 or whatever. And I was just like, all right, from my perspective, and I'm not trying to make a case to change your name, but I just can't help it. I feel like I'd be fake if I didn't say something. Is that MC Bravado at the time was perfect. I used to be JS1 the North Star. Wildin'. You know what I'm saying? I seen the North Star movie. I was way into it. I felt like it had like a little Wu-Tang twinge to it. We gonna go ham. But then I realized that shit ain't gonna work. So then I went to something way more ignorant that kind of fit the time period. I feel like we all have to get to stages of evolution so that people can know there's a difference. Like, you know what I'm saying? I hate that I'm mentioning this nigga name again, but I still love this nigga. Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, and then Diddy. Like, there's the evolution. And then now we have Love, and now we have Soon to Go to Jail. So, like, all of these names are befitting.
Another shot.
Yeah, that's another moniker. I mean, like, that's not a shot. That's just a piece of reality. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. That nigga's about to do some jail time. And I hope not because, whatever, it happens. So, anyway, that's all I had to say. So moving on. I'm not even going to get into you. You don't have to defend.
Well, no, I'm not trying to defend, but I do want to say, I mean, I gave you the genesis of the name.
Right.
I do believe, like, I am on my rapper's rapper kind of, you know, so I like the MC being in my name, but the bigger picture with that is I can't compete with a word. Google. If I were to change my name, I'm competing with the dictionary. I'm competing with. There's also some like women's like bra situation that's called Bravado randomly.
That sounds great. That
which
sounds
is wild.
wonderful.
So to
sounds
me,
wonderful.
like I keep my footprint by having it. Like if you Google me, like that is the only thing that comes up.
True.
I have other friends that have rap names that deliver a bunch of results and make that shit hard to find. For me, if I'm trying to get booked or like any of those scenarios, if people look, it looks official. So I think people call me like Bravado, whatever, and like I might even just say Bravado on an interview but yeah, I mean, at least for now, we're gonna keep it. But
No, from the business perspective, it makes sense
we
completely.
go.
You know what I'm saying? All right, so you developing your own style. Like, what do you feel like are the defining features of MC Bravado? Like,
it's a good question. I mean, at this stage, it's writing over everything. I mean, I was an English teacher. I went to school for literature. I've been immersed in writing since high school. I mean, I did journalism. I wanted to be a sports writer when I was a kid, like all of the things. So to me, writing first and foremost, like at a really high level, not wasting a syllable, like making sure I could stand on whatever I write, which isn't really like a stylistic thing as much as like an axiom, like just something I'm building myself on. I also think every record, it's tough to find me with the same cadence or the same flow or the same approach. I don't really have a rule book with any of that. And I, like we were talking about earlier, I feel like I'm applying stuff from, there could be 30 people that over the course of a couple songs that you'll hear me pulling from. So I don't know, bro. I don't think I know this might sound like a cop-out, but I don't think I have like a defined bullet list outside of taking my craft to the utmost level of sincerity and being serious and putting all I got into it and making sure the listener hears every hour and minute that I put into this craft. But I don't think I have like defining. I used to be more punchliney, but like I don't even think that's my thing necessarily anymore. I mean, there's gonna be bars, but it's boxing, so just set up punch is kind of boring. There's got to be more happening. You got to jab, you got to uppercut, you got to, rope a dope a little bit. You got to do all the things.
it's so interesting that you reference rapping in that fashion. Being a ex-rapper myself,
Yeah.
I never thought of it like that. I always thought of I had to tell a story, or I had to be witty, or I had to be clever. So like it was all about doing that. But hearing you break it down the way you do, I'm like, yo, that is the essential part of being like that subgenre that you're a part of is like, it's definitely about that. It's about impressing people with wordplay.
Yeah.
And then having these formulas for putting together verses that I think are very intricate. So it's like you do. It's funny because you were like, you don't feel like you have a rule book, but you have very defined. Like if you go back and listen to this, you have so many rules that you set up for yourself on how you want to structure songs, how you want to present yourself, how you want to do things. And I'm not saying anything that's bad. I think that's actually super impressive. Most of the time when I'm meeting artists, they don't even know what they're doing. They're just doing stuff because everything is, for a lot of creatives, it's emotional impulse.
Right.
I'm in a space and I just need to say this or I need to present this or whatever. But the difference within you is you're so methodical about how you want to approach every component of it. Makes it super impressive. You know what I mean? But it also gives you an advantage because it's like if you want to hit a target, you know exactly how to hit it. You know your tools in your toolbox and how to use the tools to get what you need to get to, which I think is super dope. You know what I mean? And I feel like that just comes from, I guess, the place that you came from when you starting out. I tell people like you get a different level of confidence and skill set when you grow up in a circle of violence. And I'm not saying violence isn't fighting, but battling. Yeah. You're battling. It's almost like you gotta learn how to get it all right. You can't just be high and just come in there and like say stuff.
That part.
Because that's cool on the lowest level if you're on a corner and you chilling. But when you have tacticians and you're going against people that are working all week just so they can come to that one spot and kill you because you might have got them last week, you kind of have to learn how to put it all together and shit. So I feel like you might have, and I could be wrong. I'm only guessing here, but you know what I mean. You can tell me if I'm right or wrong.
No, I mean, I think my brother, my younger brother, has always been one of my biggest supporters and fans, and he's always said you're on this. It's like a Batman-esque kind of thing to where he's like,
Yes.
if you have any inkling as to what's coming or who it is, and this is my family, so obviously he's biased, but he's like, they don't have a fucking chance because
Right.
you're going to crack the code and figure it out.
Right.
So preparation is, like you were saying, and preparation's got to be a rule to me if you want to be in the top percentage of MCs, and I do want to be recognized as that. I guess, like, my end game to me is, you think about like Slug and Rhymesayers, where he could put a roster together, the people, kind of what he did in Minneapolis, I want to do in Baltimore, where it's like a mean roster, nobody sounds quite the same, but there's an overall aesthetic, still doing the stuff at the schools, but people recognize me as one of the best. Like, that's really it. But I could still go to Walmart, and not get totally
Recognized
harassed.
totally harassed.
So, and I might not be making $5 million a year, but maybe I'm making $250K or something nice.
That's a good living.
You know what I mean? So, like, that to me is kind of where I want to be. But that work ethic and progression, I mean, it still happens. Like, I just did 2 recent freestyle appearances, and the one on Quicksilver, I thought it was one style and one way, and I love how it came out. But there were certain things that I looked at the game tape and I was like, I want to tweak this. And then the one I just did on Rap Attack, to me, was like the best representation of where I'm at, because it had its moments of emphasis. It had references people will understand, but that I would mix that in with some highly technical shit. And it was really just enough for everybody.
Now, when you are putting together these strategies, are you considering audience? So, like, that's interesting. I wouldn't have never imagined you would have gone on Quicksilver's platform and did a freestyle, or that he would be open to you coming. Not necessarily that he's racist, but we black, and black people are biased, and we've got huge issues. So it's like, we all need to be in therapy. So, like, you're going on that platform.
As someone who's in therapy, I support that.
Facts. So, like, how did you like, how would you approach that? How did you, what were your thought process going? I know I'm dealing with a mad black audience.
I didn't think of it that way. It was more just what putting my best foot forward felt like. I guess maybe that's the part where you're talking about artists with the feeling part. That felt right for his platform, because there was more high energy, like, moments that I feel like would just captivate people with the delivery. I also had certain bars in there, like the bar that most people quoted from that was the white boy don't play Leighton on the Dream Team bar. And a lot of people were like, but then there was even more intricate shit. The bar after that's crazier, in my opinion, but it was the setup for something else. But that's the one that got a lot of people's attention. So I guess, like, little things like that maybe I'm thinking about. But to your point, I think that's something that's made me a stronger MC, is because, like, if I'm going to be on his platform, like, I better fucking bring it. And I knew after the fact that he was into it, and I love that effect. To me, it's like being in a fight, because if you don't fucking deliver, you get knocked out, so to speak. That person, they might be cool with you, but, like, they'll go on about their day not thinking much of you. But if you could go in there and really grab the room, or someone like him who could have anybody in there, like, to me, that's a moment. So shout out to him and Rap Attack and those guys, and you and anybody who's, like, seen what I'm doing enough to want to have me as a guest and help me amplify everything happening, because I do think there's a chance for something special. Here,
most definitely. So moving more so today, like, how do you navigate black spaces? Or I'm not gonna say black, because they're not black owned, because we don't own shit. So, or spaces that we occupy or we create that are hip hop related. Is that's something I've always wondered. It's like, because, like, let's say, for instance, if I go to a rock and roll bar, I'm always kind of like, let me shift myself to the back. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna kick it, I'm gonna have a good time, have some conversations, but I recognize it's not my space, and I've never tried to feel like I wanted to be like a part of it. You know what I mean? I'm just a visitor. How do you feel about the space? And then how do you navigate it? How, you know what I mean? Because I'm quite sure there's a bunch of other MCs that may not be black that are trying to figure out how to navigate it themselves.
Honestly, I've been lucky that my life has gone certain ways. When I moved to Baltimore, from teaching on the Eastern Shore to teaching in Baltimore City, like there were things that were eye-opening. I taught during the uprising and all that, and to see kids and just the effect that all of this had on them and what a lot of the kids in Baltimore City deal with day to day just to get to school kind of changed my outlook. I was never a racist person, but I had, like most people, I think there was an ignorance until I got to see certain experiences up close, and I think that made me approach the space more delicately, and made me feel obliged to understand what it took to build that space, and to really place an emphasis on the guest thing, and to place an emphasis on the giving back thing. So I'm lucky, shout out to Ogun because he's been instrumental in my role with Beats Not Bullets, and recognize some of my talents that I can add to that situation. But to get to help the youth of our city, obviously predominantly black youth, navigate the hip hop space makes me feel like I'm at least contributing something.
Right.
Because I am, at the end of the day, I am benefiting from it. I make my living from it. So I do feel obliged to like be up on what got it here, to move with a certain reverence and respect, and to contribute actively.
Word.
And to me, like, none of it, for me, fortunately, none of it was forced because I didn't have this master plan when I was an idiot in my early 20s to be a teacher and move the ball. It was a natural progression.
Word.
So I hope that, answers.
No, that's a great answer. All right, so my next question is, like, who were the people that embraced you once you really got into the scene? And then, like, I want to get into some album stuff, but I definitely wanted to get that out there.
Sure. B Club was magic, and I definitely, I didn't go on stage right away, like the first time, because I wanted to see who was good. And then the second time I went up and kind of got a feel, because you had, Icon there, you had Easy Jackson there, you had cats like that, and just Easy, those guys really did embrace me essentially from the beginning. I think being associated with, Lackey at Lineup Room helped. I think the fact that I was a teacher helped. And the fact that I wasn't whack.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah, because those are great people. That whole vibe was phenomenal, where it was very forgiving.
Right.
Still, even if someone wasn't great.
Right.
But you weren't going to earn their respect. You weren't going to be ciphering with them in the front of the building. You weren't going to be on bills with them consistently. Right. So, yeah, I guess kind of showing and proving, and that's what part of the thing I loved about it is because it brought me back to showing and proving with the battle stuff. Those slightly different. I was in this improvisational freestyle environment where I had to not get killed by whoever I was up there with. So it was cool. But yeah, I was really surprised how warm the scene really was to me. But I do think that also had to do with moving a certain way. Yeah.
No, most definitely. And you named two of I call it they're like hip hop Jedis. You know what I mean?
Yep.
People that are zealots for the craft.
Two of the best.
You know what I mean? Yeah. They are so committed to, if you're gonna do this, you gotta be dope.
Yep.
And I ain't messing with you if you ain't dope. You ain't getting no love if you're not dope. But if you're dope, I'm fucking with you. You know what I mean? And so because it's not about color. This is about culture. This is about skill set. So I love that. All right, so the albums.
Yeah.
Your catalog. Number one question.
Sure.
What do you feel like is the predominant content that drives you in the creation process?
Honestly, bro, Brandon always jokes about this. When I am going through it, he's always like, sorry, but this shit's about to be fire. so really, bro, it's when when it's a transition period, a period of uncertainty, when shit's hitting the fan, because these are time capsules for life. So that's why to me the Living Game project's my best project, because it's not just the polish, and it's in this strike zone between, like, I guess my old underground backpacker sensibility and commercial viability. It's like right in this perfect middle there. But it was also when I quit my job teaching, jumped on Warped Tour. 2 of my best friends died while I was on tour.
Wow.
Almost went home. Stuck it out. Made a record about that. Made the whole out. Like, my dumb ass, bro. I thought that I had summer pay, but I didn't sign up for it.
Oh, snap.
So I quit, and then realized, like, at the end of June that I'm not going to be getting any paychecks. And I'm living in an RV on the road, do 40 shows on Warped Tour. I'm selling these ices. Shout out to Timmy Grins, Cool Suppliers. These things are great, but they're like kind of like push-up pop vegan smoothie things. I'm out there on Warped Tour every day selling these during the day, handing out cards with my set time and where I'm at. Kind of boots on the ground, planting seeds in every city in the country. I got heat exhaustion in Vegas. All kinds of little like battle scars and moments, but now I got pockets of fans everywhere from that summer. And then you engage them and you go back, and then they bring some people, and every time you go to a city you have more people there. But like that summer and everything that happened after that, a breakup that happened after that, and a 7-year relationship, all that stuff informed those records. So really life experiences and, you know, just applying the style to whatever the situation calls for. Yeah.
Crazy. I love that. It's like sometimes it's like, yo, niggas got into a shootout, or he was selling crack for a long time and realized that he couldn't do it. I like yours. Yours is more normal. Like I love your description. You know what I'm saying? The content. The content is love, life, drama, you know, and everything in between.
All that love lost, losing people that you care about. Yeah, all that.
So if somebody's gonna be a fan of you, what do they need to know before you come in the door? Before you crack that stream open and press play, you know, what are the things? What are the important elements that
I'm gonna give you everything that I have. I'm not gonna be. We talked about the failing thing. I'm not gonna be perfect. There's gonna be stuff that I throw out there that you may not agree with, but you're getting the full experience. You're getting the full person. You're not getting anything put on. You know, so hopefully there are elements of me as a person that you rock with enough to rock with the music, because I think that, and I've learned this as I've gone on, somebody can think you're dope, but the difference between them thinking you're dope and buying your merch and coming to your show is if they like you.
Facts.
You know? So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to be authentic. That's what I'm going to be. Yeah.
Yo, that's what's up. All right, my next question is going to be, what album is your favorite out of your catalog?
It's The Living Game. Yeah.
Okay.
Joel Ortiz on there.
How the hell they come about?
So this is kind of crazy. I worked with Kobe's company, Granity, while he was still alive. And I delivered, they were doing these books that were like basketball meets like Harry Potter kind of books. And it was great for reluctant readers, you know. So I dropped a bunch off at my old school and reached partnership the year after I left there. And I was just a big Kobe fan the whole time. And I went to Joel and I was like, I got this idea. It's kind of like Mamba mentality, like going after it. So we do the whole record. Then obviously like tragedy happens. And him and I were both like, what are we going to do with this? Some time passed, you know, then we felt it was an appropriate time to be like, it's not a tribute, it's more of a celebration for like the way he lived. But I got Hike Keach on the production on that record, and to me it just holds up. Easy Jackson is on another one on that album that I think is great. Von Stacks from SU The Click is on another one. I just think, bro, it's like, I'm an eclectic head too, and I think the sequencing works, even though there's just so many different sounds and approaches. And I don't think I could have made a better album at that time. Like, I look back on a lot of stuff and I'm like any creative, and I listen to it now and I'm like, I could have done this, or I could have switched this. I listen to Living Game, and there's like really nothing that even 4 years later that I would do differently. Like, I think it's a great album. Yeah.
Now, of your catalog, is this your highest performing?
Yeah, overall. Yeah, because there's a few. 4 a.m. is another joint I have that has done pretty well. Between that and like Kobe, the Warped Tour Diary record, like I have a lot of records that have streamed well. I also find that even with my new stuff, that people wind up there, which is always a good sign, and then they wind up going all the way through.
Deep dive.
Yeah,
I love that. So, all right. So, what's coming up? Do we have a new project coming up? Is there a tour? Do you need somebody to carry your bags, hold your umbrella? You know what I'm saying? I'll hit the road with you.
I can't tell you the last time I used an umbrella, to be honest.
So
One of those people, yeah.
But we bougie now. You getting money. You need somebody to hold an umbrella for you.
I can't wait till I get money. We're not there yet.
You know Joel Ortiz. You got money.
Bro, I just DM'd him. But as far as what's coming up, we got Belief right now.
Okay.
Which is doing great. The video just dropped. The remix has King Los.
Okay.
Which comes out at the end of the month. And then the really cool thing, I wanted to do an album surrounding it. But as you know, when you have a record that's like uplifting, there's a fine line between uplifting and corny. And Belief is decidedly, to me, on the side of a little bit of gritty, also uplifting, but really, it works, right? I can do a couple more songs in that vein, but not like on one project, but it would be kind of redundant if it was just me. So what I decided to do was to create a project called the Baltimore Belief Tape, and to get some of the best music from Beats Not Bullets alumni and current students. And I basically gave them like a writing assignment with it. I said, do something that someone that inspires you, something that inspires you, make it along those lines topically, right? I can't promise you it's going to make the tape, but it might. So a lot of the kids have been working on it, but then also like Easy and Epic Fam like are contributing something to it. So it's not just the program; it's people that go through lineup. We're basically gonna have like the best 10 joints or so. But there's gonna be a level. Like I tell the kids, like we don't censor the kids. So I'm like, you can curse on these records. You know what I'm saying? But there should be something that, is pushing forward.
Right.
Right. So I want to take that and then put that out through Empire. And if we pull that off, we're taking music from 17, 18-year-old kids from Beats Not Bullets and technically putting it in the hands of a major situation, right? Which to me is pretty cool. I've heard a couple of the joints already, and they're fire. So I think it's going to open some eyes. The original and the Los version will be on there, and then I got one or two more surprises on my side that'll be on there. But then, the rest is going to kind of populate the project, and I'm excited.
So, if I'm correct, this is like a compilation?
Yeah.
To a certain extent? And
it's a compilation.
You just kind of like Jay-Z Dynasty kind of vibe with it. Like, you know what I mean? You've got your 5-6 joints to make sure it sell. And then, the rest of it is you just letting Beans and Bleak and all them niggas get their shit off.
Yeah, I think it's the first time, at least on a project, that there's kind of a marriage between, what I've done on the education side and the music. And I'm not, there are songs that aren't going to make it, and they can use those for whatever they want to, but it's another lesson in, like, this industry is difficult. And that's something I admire about the program is, like, we do uplift and encourage, but we're also, like,
very realistic.
Yeah, like, if it's not great, love you, but I'm not putting it on an album that has my name on it if it's not fire.
Facts.
And so if this doesn't make it, put in those hours, and that hopefully the next one does. I'm still here for you. I'll still help you not step on landmines that I stepped on, but this is still my shit, this record.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, bring it. You know?
I love that. I super love that. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everybody for tapping in with us. Like, I have so much more. I swear to God, we could do 3 more hours. I have so much I got to cover, but my engineer has to roll because I'm stealing him from his other job. So what y'all need to do is make sure, if you haven't done so, tap into my guy MC Bravado. Please, sir, give him your social medias, your YouTube channel, where they can buy the merch, where they can buy the CDs, the physicals, everything.
For sure, yeah. I am. I say this jokingly all the time. It's no Champagne Poppy. It's just MC Bravado everywhere. Same bad time, same bad channel. MC Bravado everywhere. Every social media, same thing. But Belief is out now. Baltimore Belief tape's coming. Remix is coming, and then I got a project with Stu Bangers that's coming after that.
So that's what's up. Anything else you want to promote while you're here? Because this is your time, man. Let's get it all out here. Like,
Beats Not Bullets, man. We're active. We're back at Lineup Room for the summer. We're gonna be back in the schools next year. Please just support. Donate, amplify. The program is doing amazing things. Yeah.
Word. And shout out to Brandon Lackey for lacing this up and making it happen. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the homie for real from way back. It was weird when he hit me and was like, yo, you do that. I was like, because I gave you my phone numbers. I was like, why this nigga did just hit me direct? Why is Brandon hit me? So I was like, oh, all right, cool. The mafia's hitting me now. All right, let me go ahead and just kind of, yes, sir. I don't want no problems. I don't need you pissing in my Wheaties. Tell them to come on through. But, you know what I'm saying? I love the whole squad, man. Everybody you talk about, them the homies. You know what I'm saying? Easy Jackson, known him for over a decade. Icon of God is the homie. You know what I'm saying? Like,
let's shout out Ronald the Mentor as well.
Yo, Ronald,
Got to.
Ogun.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Naj over at Architects. Like, Brandon Lackey. Me and him going out to lunch 3, 4, 5 different times. Like, Cariz, that's above y'all. And
Cariz brought me into the program, bro.
let's go.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's a family for real. I tell people all the time, like, every time the music industry get together in Baltimore, it's like a mini family reunion. You know what I'm saying? It depends on what part of the family you in. So, like, you know what I mean? But I'm so happy we actually had a chance to sit down and have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate what you do as a podcast. I am learning more about what you do as an MC. You know what I'm saying? But I fuck with you, dog. I think you are dope. And I want you to come back, because we have so much more to talk about. I swear to God. We have not gotten into the topic that I really want to talk about. It's just like, I feel like I want to understand what it's like really being white coming into the music and like hip hop.
Right.
Because we are such bully asshole niggas. I'm sorry, black people. So it's just like, I'm trying to understand, like, how do you navigate this? Because there might be millions of white rappers, but only maybe a handful have risen to this like pinnacle. You know what I mean?
What I will say is that, and this is gonna sound like I don't, have self-awareness, but a decent percentage of those white rappers deserve to get bullied because they're not showing a level of affinity and understanding of the culture, and they don't move the right way, and they're the ones who immediately pivot to country or whatever serving them best, and they're opportunistic. So I don't sometimes, like, when I've been quote unquote treated with a certain attitude, like, I legitimately don't resent it because I'd be skeptical of me too, to be fucking honest. So yeah.
Speaking of country music, I really do love Bubba Sparks' country stuff.
Bubba's dope, yeah.
And I love my man Yellow Wolf. Shout out to Yellow Wolf, you my nigga. One of my first real interviews.
He's dope too. You interviewed him?
Hell yeah!
That's
and
fire.
He came out and did a concert for me for my radio station like 10 some odd years ago.
He's nice too.
He's fucking dope as shit.
Yeah.
Like, when I met him, he was riding around with KP because he was signed to Ghetto Vision, but that was before he got the Eminem deal.
Right.
So he was trying to survive like everybody else.
He was probably
you know what I'm
wild
saying?
back then, I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots
You
of
got
beers,
stories,
we've got stories. But you know what I'm saying? I love him. I think he's dope. So like when he went big, I'm like, yeah, like I loved it. Man, if you listen to his mixtapes, I've argued this before. His mixtape music was way better than his his shady record stuff, but then like when he left shady, his independent stuff that he's doing now, fucking fire, man. And his merch is crazy. I felt like he's evolved into this organism that is truly unique and different. Like him being kind of Caucasian, Native American, you know what I'm saying? And then having that kind of like, I grew up in a black community.
Is he like what percentage is he as far as Native American?
Like 50%.
Okay.
Like, yeah, he's really, really Native American.
Okay.
Like his mom is Native. His mom was in like one of his early music videos. Cause I remember we was in him. He was like, yeah, that was my mom in the joint. I was like, that's your mom, nigga? Like what? But yeah, super cool. So anyway, yeah, with that being said, we'll check y'all next time. Make sure you lock in with Bravado, follow him, buy everything he has, stream all the music. If you are a woman, I don't know if he's married or not, just sing your titties anyway. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna check you.
I do have a girlfriend.
Okay, cool. So like send her titty pictures too so she know that you're not playing pics. So like we're gonna check y'all next time. We out of here. Peace.